Well, hello there, stamping friends. This is Traci Raether from Plum Crazy Stamping, and it's time for our weekly card making lesson. I am so excited to have you here today. It is April 9th already. Oh my goodness. And the thing that is keeping me going during going from snow to rain to a nice day back to snow. Oh my goodness. But I think we're looking at a nice weekend here in Wisconsin. So with that, I'm going to get my card making in today when it's raining. Anyway, let's see. I'm Traci Raether. As I said, Plum Crazy Stamping. As you join me today, please sign in the comments. Let me know who you are and where you're watching from. And if you're on YouTube, remember to go into your YouTube account or your Google account so that you can use the comments there. And if you're watching this on replay, please sign in as well and use the comments if you have any questions about what I'm doing or any feedback on the project itself. So before I go any further, let me go ahead and I'm going to flip the camera down here so that you can see my desktop. All right, there we go. Let me open the catalog here. I needed to check for myself the products I'm using, where they're available. Let's see, I'm in the index here. And first I'm looking at the dies. And the dies that I'm going to be using are actually in the online exclusives. So we're going to be using, these are called Everyday Arches. And there are just these progressive sized arches with little kind of dots around them. They're really interesting, and I've been kind of anxious to get my hands on these, and there's so much you can do with them. So today I'm just going to show you a couple options. And then the second thing I'm going to do, which I know is in the annual catalog here, let me find out where that is. Page 55. All right, so this is Unbounded Beauty, and this is one of the super suites that are in the annual catalog. And today I'm going to feature the sentiments that are a part of this, and then there are a whole bunch of sentiment labels, and then some foliage, which I'm not going to be using, but I'm going to focus on the sentiments in here. And then I'm also going to be using this beautiful designer series paper. And this is called Unbounded Beauty. So it is absolutely gorgeous. And doesn't it look like springtime? So, all right, that's what we're using. And let me just bring out these colors for you. So I have these all flipped the way that is really featuring the pinks. So this has Berry Burst, Petal Pink, Petunia Pop. Then it also has a little Calypso Coral on here, Flirty Flamingo, Pretty Peacock, and I think it's maybe Lost Lagoon. Let me see. Just remind you, if you don't know, to always go to the back of your designer series paper. Oh, it's Peach Pie, not Flirty Flamingo, with the Calypso Coral. And then Shy Shamrock, Summer Splash, and then, as I said, Pretty Peacock. So I've decided to use this. And one of the things that I do when I'm using 12 by 12 paper, just a little hint to you, is I like to cut off 4-inch pieces of the 12 by 12. And then I know I have 2 more sections of 4-inch strips to use as I continue to do this. You know, unless I'm doing like a scrapbook page, or for some reason I want to have the whole front of a card be at like 4 1/4 or it's an unusual fun fold, usually cutting at the 4 inches is the way to get the most out of my paper. Okay. And here, before I move these away, I'll just kind of show you some of the other colors and patterns that are in here. And these two. Also, you know, this more the Shy Shamrock and Summer Splash. And then here, this has the Peach Pie and Calypso Coral mixed in with Pretty Pink. All right. So, and then the stamp set for Unbounded Love, matching the dies. I'm going to go this way and look at the number of sentiments that are provided here. And then you will be able to find at least one of the dies that will work with whatever sentiment you choose. Okay, I'm going to use another stamp set as another choice for you in this card, but I'll show that to you later. So let's start with the card design first. And so I've decided that with all these pinks, I wanted the Pretty Peacock to kind of back me up. And I have a couple different ways that I'm going to use the designer series paper with this. So first I want to say hello to Donna and Betty and Kathy. Thanks for joining me today. And let me show you that I took, to begin this card, I took one of those 4-inch strips and I've cut out the first arch from here. So we've got this arch. Okay. And then I thought I would take another paper, kind of a more background looking paper, also cut this at 4 inches, but now my arches fit this way and I'll be able to get a whole bunch of them out of here. And so I have this background. And now these line up really nicely. But one of the things I did to get this thicker arch, the choice you have with all these dies is how thick you want your arches to be. So the first one, let me just kind of make these stand up a little bit. The first one is really as wide as a card. And one of the things I'll need to do this at a future broadcast is using this larger arch. Oops, here, I don't need to keep those in line right now. Use this a larger arch and actually make a card from it by cutting on the fold line, and then your card will be shaped like the arch. So that's one of the options and one of the unique features of this arch die and how large this first one is. Okay. So then I chose actually the next size because I wanted some of the color of the card base to show. So I started with the second die. Now, if I would put what is the third die right in here and cut them together, I would be making a very, very thin arch cutout. And if I don't put that arch in the center, I'm just going to get a solid looking arch that would look something like this, and there wouldn't be any frame appearance to it. But what I decided to do was take the next size. Let's see if that's this one. And I kind of liked the distance and the width of the arch. So when I put this through the die cut machine, I actually used some of my Post-it note labeling and cover-up tape to hold these in place on my designer series paper so I would get this thicker arch. I kind of like the size of that, okay? And then initially with this one, I did this to fill it in with a different color paper. But the whole design that I had in mind, so today I'm going to do a birthday card. And I don't know, I think this was just too much of all the same color, and it's not going to give me the kind of definition that I want on the card. So I'm going to just move that for now. And I decided that I was going to do the next size die in just white. And you know what? I really like the way that looks. I like the pretty peacock coming through. And then I've got my nice white arch inside there. Because what I want to do is make a birthday card. So I have the birthday stamp from Unbounded Love, and that's going to fit right up here. Okay. And then next, I'm wanting to cut out one of the pieces of paper. So this one in particular, all of these floral bouquets, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a little fussy cutting, and I'm actually going to pile up flowers on the bottom of this arch. So I got a little more fussy cutting to do here. So I'm just going to keep cutting this out. And just a reminder, when you're fussy cutting, you hold your scissors in place and you move the paper with your hand and just go around and always leave a little outline of white. And this card design is really all about using the variety of the sizes of the arches that are in this die set and using the designer series paper and letting it do the work. And the only stamping that I'm doing with this card is going to be the sentiment. And so deciding on, what you have in your craft stash, I actually decided the words and all that went along with the arches. There are 2 different stamp sets you can get that have words that are meant to go around the arch. Now, I really wanted the arch dies, but I have so many sentiments, I really didn't think that I needed that. I could always get it at another time. So right now, I just own the dies, but I'm going to be able to make a ton of cards just using those dies. Okay, so there we have that bunch cut out. And let me just, I'm going to cut out one more big bunch and see how I want to proceed here. Anyway, so I just bought the dies for that bundle. And then I do have all the sentiments for Unbounded Love because there were so many. And I liked all the labels, the dies that give me a variety of sizes to either put designs or sentiments on, right? And that one was filled with the stamp set that goes with it. It was a whole bunch of florals. Well, I have a whole bunch of florals. So with that one, I just bought the sentiment stamp set and die set. I didn't buy the matching portion of this suite. So sometimes I like to get the whole suite. It works so perfect together and it's unique enough to my collection that I do that. But there are other times where I pick and choose based on what I'm seeing. All right. And then, with all the florals that were in this paper, I could just get the paper and actually create some unique things and not have to use my Stampin' Right markers on a stamp like this to get all the variety of colors. Because remember, that's how we can get multiple colors on one stamp. To stamp it is by using Stampin' Right markers and coloring our stamp. All right, so there we go. Now we've got another choice of a bouquet. All right, more people signing on. Hi, Kim. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you all. All right, so now we've got some choices about our arch and all of this design. So I think with what I've done, I would probably create a pile of flowers like this and do the stamping, and I think I'll really like that. But before I do that, I want to show you some alternative opportunities that I have, and then I'm going to come back and actually have this be my finished card. So I'm just going to set this aside. Okay, so another thing that you can do is I took the white again and I filled the whole arch in this time. Okay. And this is where I'm going to bring in a different stamp set to give me a totally different design. So I've got this, and now I'm going to bring in, this one's probably very familiar to you, called Spotlight on Nature. And I'm actually going to use one bouquet of flowers and this butterfly to create a totally different looking card front. So I'm going to take this off and actually do my stamping on here. And I need a little scrap for my butterfly. And I think we'll do our stamping for our happy birthday on here. Let's see what colors I want to use. I'm going to use Memento Black on the things that I'll put on this larger arch. I am going to be using photopolymer for the sentiment, but that doesn't need the Pierce mat. I'm also going to use the same happy birthday sentiment for this second card. And then on this one that I am stamping is cling stamp, so it doesn't need the extra Pierce mat either. I'm just going to get some scrap paper because I will be stamping a little bit off of this. All right, so I've got all the parts and pieces here. Let's go ahead and do a little stamping. All right, so we've got the largest white arch that I cut, and I'm going to just ink up my nice cling stamp here from Spotlight on Nature. And Kathy's saying it's the most beautiful set, and you know it is. I have used it in so many ways. I love it. Okay, so we've got this, and I'm going to make this look upright here. All right, and then just press. And there we've got our tulips. And then I want to take a scrap piece here. And I'm actually going to do our butterfly. All right, so I'm just going to do that right there. And you know, since I'm making one and I got a little more cardstock, I might as well make two, because I know adding a butterfly to another card will be very easy to do. All right, we've got those butterflies. Now I'm going to actually stamp the happy birthday here. Now the thing is, do I want to keep it? I guess I'm just going to do all the stamping in black on this. I could do the berry burst, but we'll just keep this the same colors. And this is one of the labels I just die cut in advance. That belongs to the Unbounded Love die set. There we've got our happy birthday. Oops. Gotta wash that stamp off because I'm going to use Berry Burst on the other card. All right, so let's close this up. Bring in our Berry Burst and do the top of this one. So my question is, this paper with all these flowers has 3 pinks in it. It has Berry Burst, Pretty in Pink, and Petunia Pop. Do you have a favorite of those three pinks? I'm trying to decide. I'm curious what you think about that. So go ahead and write in the comments what your favorite is. We'll kind of take a little poll here and see what ends up being number one. All right. So we've got that done for our other card, but let's first look at what this second card would look like if it were what we were putting together. So we've got this. Now I do want to cut out the butterfly, so I'm just going to fussy cut it. So right now it's just in black and white. I'm going to leave it that way for now. Probably color it later. I might put it on a different card base, like do the dark pink and then color this butterfly in kind of a combo of light and dark pink. And then, of course, add a wink of Stella so it sparkles. And there are matching gems for this paper and this set. So those would be pretty to embellish this card or the other one. Okay, so we've got our butterfly. All right, so then I think that this one, since this fills the hole like that, so making this leaf, I would use Pretty Peacock and I would use, one of the greens to make those leaves, right? And then the butterfly can sit right up here on the arch. And then down here, I would just put that happy birthday. So another very pretty card. Like I said, you could use any color base on this, and that would look really striking. Okay, so very easy. What I like about the arch is there's the feature to put something in the center, to put something on the arch. I would either put the arch up or the center up just to make some additional interest. Okay. So we'll just take that off so you have that opportunity. And then the other one is, so with this, in this case, I think I'm going to have the center. If I can get my flower cutouts, they will be on here, and then I'm going to put that center one, and I'm going to build up the center. So let's see how this all plays out as I try to get the different dimensions on this card. So first, let's go with, I'm going to keep the arch solid on the front of the card. Now, remember, I could do this in the reverse of what you're seeing, depending upon what you like. So this might be worth, cutting a number of arches and then kind of setting up different scenarios and playing with your card fronts. You could also put the card front through your cut and emboss machine. Having a leaf background would really look pretty on here. Let's see. Ooh, some Petunia Pop. Another Petunia Pop and Pretty in Pink. Well, that's not a lot of input yet. So the rest of you, what do you think? All right. Then the happy birthday is going to get raised up here. So I'm going to use dimensionals on this. The other thing I thought of as I was working on this card and kind of thinking about it If you have any of the designer series paper that looks like wood, or you have the, I think it's called timber, or I know they've had other embossing folders that look like wood. This arch would look really cool in wood, and it would also look really cool on like glossy black. That would really look cool as well. All right, so now we have our flowers to put on here. I like that this is giving me distance from the card, so I can move that one way over, and I can move this one way over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dot of glue on the top of these, but down here on the bottom, I'm going to pop them up so they're as high as the center, okay? So let me just kind of roll these back and figure out where I can put the one the one dimensional, and then I'm going to just put a little glue up here on the top to hold that in place. And take off my adhesive here. And then I'm just going to roll these back in place, kind of keeping this off to the side, but having it be connected here and here. And let me do the same to this other side now. Just roll this forward and keep it so that you can see that dimensional off of the card, and just hold this in place a second. And then, you know what? I'm going to live on the wild side here. I'm actually going to make this pop up again with more dimensionals. Woohoo! Oh, another petunia pink. No. Oh, petunia pink. Do you mean pretty in pink or petunia pop, Kim? You kind of mixed them. Maybe you like them both. All right, and then I'm going to do this kind of right in the center there. There now, isn't that pretty? And what I would do is the new trinkets that we have, you know what? I do have one right here. You could do the brushed gold butterflies that we have, or these are the tiny bees. If I can get this open, I'm afraid it's going to go all over the place. There we go. So these tiny bees, let's see. Ooh, they're so cute. I think I'm going to go with 3 of them. Okay, there we go. Now these are the ones that I just put a mini glue dot on. Let's see here. These are leftover from Paper Pumpkin. So you could use the mini glue dots that are on the roll, or you could use these. Let me get my take your pick tool. Where did it go? There it is. Okay, to kind of get this on the back of the tiny bees. And then peel off the adhesive covering here. The hardest thing of the day, getting the adhesive covering off the bees. I think we'll do one over here. I just love that they have them in this nice shiny gold, and they're solid, and they are 3D. You know, your brushed butterflies are also pretty, but those are flat. These, actually stand up higher on your card. Let's put that right on here. And let's get this third one. Oops, there we go. And this one, I'm going to put right in the flowers. Right where those little bees want to be. All right. So then I thought, need a little something, and I'm going to have a light color inside. So what I did when I was cutting up my 4-inch piece of cardstock, before I actually took it out of the cutter, then I just cut a 1/2 inch and then another 1/2 inch off so that I could put it on each side of my card insert. Okay. And now I'm going to just glue this in here. And you could put any additional sentiment or image that you want to put in here, or you could just leave it with that paper because that really lightens this up. So that is the whole card doing the fussy cutting. And then, as I said, we've kind of got a whole nother card here that could be put on a different, card base. And then even with these other 2 sentiments that I have, you could stack these. You could do 3 on top of each other on a card front, and make this really pretty by, doing a design, a sentiment, and then just some accent, maybe a solid of this color, putting one of these 3 behind it would look very pretty. So all kinds of things you could do so easily with this set of sentiments, the Everyday Arches dies, and, just pick even one other set for the kind of images you could use. So with that, let me see if you have any questions. And Kathy, she did make an all new color. Thanks, Kim. I'm glad you love the card. So any of you, if you'll, let me know how you're liking this by giving me a thumbs up or a heart. And also if you would share this video with your friends, I would really appreciate it. And I'm trying to think what's coming up next week. I'm doing a class on paper scraps. Not only am I going to show you 3 different designs that you can recreate very easily using paper scraps, but I'm also going to show you taking the organize my paper scraps. I do a much better job of using them. And you know what? I want to get the most out of my collection, out of the paper I've purchased. And so I love challenging myself to use those scraps and make beautiful cards to get in the mail to people. So anyway, I hope that you'll choose to join me. You'll see more information coming out about that this week. And I'll look forward to hopefully seeing you then, or I'll see you next week, Wednesday. So friends, have a great week and happy stamping. Thank you. Bye-bye.